White and Commissioner Van Zee. And the lovely Monica Reed is our deputy clerk today, transcribing for us. Also in attendance is our assessor, Brian Stender. And Brian, can you introduce the rest of the team and those in attendance? Oh, you have it. It's Kimbra. I forgot your last name. Esquita. Oh, that's fine. Esquita. And I have Joe Cox. And then Brad Goodstill from the prosecuting attorney's office is also in attendance. And then in opposition, I have signed up as Stephen Shake. And would you like to testify today?
You want? I had a dilemma when I came in the room. I'm both for it and against it, so my name on both sides.
Oh, yes, you are on both sides.
I think you'll see what I'm saying.
Okay, and you would like to testify?
Yeah.
Okay, and then David, is it Beach?
Yes.
Okay, B-E-A-C-H?
Yeah.
Okay, and then would you like to testify?
Yeah, I would like to.
Wonderful. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the assessor's office, whoever wants to get this kicked off.
Madam Chair, I'm going to take a swing at this one. Thank you for the time for allowing me to come. So we have a dilemma at the DMV. A couple of you have been out there.
I missed one thing. There is a call-in user, so I should have mentioned that this is also on WebEx today as well as a live hearing. So on the WebEx, we do have a call-in user. The number is 208-631. We have unmuted you. If you could state your name and address for the record, if you're in favor, and if you'd like to testify, or in opposition, I should have said. Are you there? From Rachel's project from the Press Tribune. And then we have Rachel's project from the Press Tribune. I'm guessing you're listening, or do you have? Would you like to be providing any testimony today?
No, just listening. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. So then one last chance for the call-in user. The phone number again, so it's 208-631. Now or forever hold your peace. Okay, we'll turn it back over to the assessor.
Okay, thank you. So today we're here asking for a $2 increase in our admin fee. With that $2 that we can hire 4 additional staff to reduce the wait times and the backlog in our office. October 13th, and also a second location in Nampa. That'll help spread out some of our traffic in each facility. October 13th, 2020 was a life changer for all DMVs all around the state. We've all heard me with my patented itch that seems to be forever being repeated. Next slide, please.
I'm sorry.
So there is one slight difference between what I sent you and this one. Oh, you're okay. So on the screen, you will see what we used to have. We used to have people waiting outside due to social distancing measures. And that's a small snapshot. That's in front of my side, of our side of the DMV. And on the left, it would trail back down the side of the building and go out towards the east. It was easy for us to have 150 people in line at one time for multiple hours. And since then, people can move on to the next slide. This is what our parking lot looks like now. There's 4 pictures here, kind of thumb through them. There's lots of pictures. I did not get one up close. So we have people sitting in all these vehicles now instead of being in that queue. We've upgraded our queuing system to allow people to sit in their cars, and they'll receive a text message when it's time to come into the facility and be helped. So next one, we have 20 people, 20 positions online. We have an assistant supervisor, we have 2 leads, 11 customer service staff, and then we also have 2 customer service staff that kind of float in different positions throughout the office. Kimber's our supervisor. She's offline, doing a lot of the book work, day-to-day management of the office. She has been known at times to jump on the line, the rest of the crew, with the way the new system is. Those opportunities have been few and far between. So, trying to help ITD all the information you need for an easy description. We also have a trainer, and then we have 1 person that's dedicated to the phones. We could probably easily use 1 other person on the phones. We have a tremendous amount of phone calls coming into our office because of the backlog. People are calling, asking where their stuff is at, which in turn is we're touching it twice now because we're looking for it, we're taking a phone call, calling them back. I'm in touch with a person that takes time, right? Then we have 1 person that's dedicated to traffic flow, customers coming in and out of the office, getting them trained on the new queuing system, how to use it, when to come in, when not to, get a ticket and go back out.
Madam Chair. Randy? Brian, is the wait time in the car the same as it was just in the weather?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Van Beek, yes.
Okay.
Today it is. Yes.
So the queuing system did not speed up the system, it just allowed them to wait in their car?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Just, it got people out of that weather.
Okay.
Next slide. Pre-Gen, in the old RMS system that was built in the 1980s, we could easily push 800 transactions. Well, not easily. That was a big day. It was 800 transactions, 14 people on the front line working for 8 hours. We could get 7.14 transactions per hour through the system. That was pre-October 13th, 2020. Next slide. So post, 330 might be an optimistic number. I don't know.
313 is bad.
Yeah, so 313 transactions, so this number's a little bit high. Same amount of people, 2.95 transactions per hour.
Less than half.
Yep. This is our walk-in customer volume, and there could be several different factors for this, but you'll see it's a significant difference between November of 19 versus November of 20. 44% off, 46 in December, and 36 in January. ITD has done a great job of advertising for people to go online and renew online. Kimber brought a box of our online renewals to help her staff out there. I go out pretty much every morning, pick up the internet renewals, bring them over here. About 2/3 of them go, 3/4 of them go to the print shop. She pulls them, stuffs them, and they mail. So very little hand manipulation with that. The rest, the front office, Jennifer's team, pulls them and stuffs them. So that's one way that we've taken a little bit of the extra effort off of Kimber's team. So that's the online renewals is reduced some of that one, but it's a lot of the backlog. We can only push so many transactions through the system. So we're turning people away at 1 o'clock every day. If you're in line by 1, then good, but after that, we can't get to.
Okay.
Next slide. Here's our wait times. November 2019, wait time was average 9 minutes, 26 seconds. November of 2020, 1 hour and 28 minutes. Here's the driver of that wait time. The service went from 7 minutes to 14 minutes. We need more people to push transactions through the system.
Madam Chair. Brian, even with more people, does having more people logged into that system slow it down, or are they able to process at the same rate?
Commissioner Redbeek, there is a performance issue when northern half of Idaho comes online at 9 o'clock, where we start at 8 o'clock. So there is some, but it is more of a web-based program, so we should be able to add more back-end horsepower. I think, I'm sure Mr. Radford has an opinion as well, but with 4 additional people, or there's other options today, I don't think our office would move the needle a lot on the performance. It would just be more volume that we're pushing.
Okay, thank you.
Did that?
Yes, so adding people is not going to slow your performance to where you need more people.
I don't think it would be counterproductive.
Okay. Next slide.
Yes. So December, about the same thing. You know, when that the service time doubles, it starts to stack. Okay, next slide. This is our new queuing system. This is this morning. The next few slides are today out of the DMV. At 10 a.m. Do you have a pointer?
No, hey, I can do it. That might be. Oh, someone blinds you late. Yeah, this works.
Okay, so at 10 o'clock, we had served 78.
And for those online, you are pointing at the customers called on the exhibit. There you go. Well, you may just have to verbally point. Yeah, just go ahead and verbally point. There we go.
So, at 10 o'clock, we'd already had one person that had no-show, that left. I'm assuming the wait time. At that point, people that we've helped have been 37 minutes. And we have 110 people sitting in the parking lot.
At what time?
10 a.m. Next slide. At that point,
110 people waiting in the parking lot to be served by the DMV at 10 a.m.
And
after 78 already served.
And the wait time is 130, or 1 hour, an hour and a half.
Madam Chair. Brian, I have a question regarding your employees' work environment. So after waiting that amount of time, what is your staff enduring either on the phone or in person?
That's a subject matter expert here.
Thank you.
People have become very verbally abusive to them. And they're frustrated. We all appreciate that they're frustrated. But we've tried everything that we can to try to speed it up, and we just don't see, with the performance of Jim, of any way of speeding up and moving people through there any faster. But their stress levels are climbing because they've been coming in and working at 7 in the morning till 6 at night, trying to get things caught up. So it's overwhelming.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, Madam Chair. Do your staff feel safe? And do you have any way of screening for weapons, anything coming into the facility?
Commissioner Beek, there has been a few instances where there has been people that have escalated their voice levels, thrown their tickets at our employees, which definitely adds some stress to the situation. Corporal?
Darren's out there.
Yeah, Darren Fabric House, with the sheriff's office. Yeah, I believe he's a corporal. He's out there in uniform, which helps, but not there all the time.
Madam Chair, does he patrol your side of that in addition to the sheriff's side?
Not officially. Yeah.
Okay.
He backs us up when we have a problem. If he sees it escalating beyond the point, he will step in and help out.
Okay.
Something about a man in uniform makes a big difference to people.
And he generally tries to visit that lobby area on a regular basis to look at what's happening, correct?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Bremby, yeah, he makes rounds in the building. He supervises the driver's license side, but he's a visible presence on both sides.
And Madam Chair?
Commissioner Van Beek?
You also have last time I was there, two other uniformed people at the front area. No? What was that? Is that from the sheriff's side then directing traffic?
Correct.
So that does not belong to your side?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner White?
Brian, do you have, does the DMV, the driver's license, not registration, the license, are they still experiencing long waits also? Do you know? Because that...
Commissioner Van Beek, sorry, Commissioner White, no, not today, no. But when school's in session and we have driver's ed starting, they will have backlogs in the mornings. But from what I've seen in the afternoons, they've kind of tapered off where there's not an abundance of wait. But in the mornings there is.
I just see that as just compounding and building the pressure. So, yeah, that's, if it's improving, that's good to
They
know.
might tell you, they've added a couple people, so that's helped on their side.
Okay, okay.
Okay, next slide. Next one.
Share screen.
So as of noon, we've helped 139 people, so that's about 35 people an hour. We have at noon, we have 133 people sitting in vehicles outside.
Hungry.
Today. Could be, yeah. Next slide. And that longest wait time at the moment is 2 hours, 50 minutes. Next slide. So at 1 o'clock, we have an hour and 136 waiting. Averaged about 33 people on customers an hour, helping 33 customers an hour.
You can share a screen, I'm sorry.
And Madam Chair?
Yeah, questions are great.
So Brian, prior to the October 13th date, if that's the online date, how many customers per hour were you serving?
Probably 100, yeah, because if 800, would be about 100 an hour.
Okay.
It was 800 on a busy day, it's about 100 an hour.
Okay, and I can say, Madam Chair, as Commissioner being out there touring the facility the first time I met Kimra, you have cameras, you have a level of performance and expectation, you keep and track accurate data on what you're processing. So I'm just saying as Commissioner, I thought it was very impressive what you're doing and the expectation even down to streamlining processes for dealerships and in order to get things moved through in an efficient way. And your wait times, a lot of times were 5 minutes or less. Is that true?
Yes, and that was
Correct. Correct. But it was very impressive. I had to go in there and you almost pull a ticket and then your number gets called. That was before this program.
Pre-Gem Go Live, half an hour wait in our facility.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll see at 1 p.m. we had 131 people in line, and the max wait time was 3.5 hours. I don't have a slide, but so we stopped taking people at 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have 52 people in their cars right now, still today.
That were there at 1 o'clock?
5 months.
Okay.
And the max wait time is 3 hours and 52 minutes.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Van Beek?
Well, and Commissioner, or Assessor echoed what we believe as a board, that level of service, not through the fault of our assessor and staff, is unacceptable to citizens. And there is high interest in figuring out how to mitigate the system that they were given to go live with and serve the customers. So I have a lot of empathy for the assessor and the chief deputy and staff out there and what they're trying to do and the obstacles they're trying to overcome.
Appreciate that.
Madam Chair, Commissioner White, I'm not to, but just to really drive a point home here, I picked up some groceries and I was just getting apples in the Albertson, and I had my badge on to open the door. Don't wear your badge. And a lady just brought her cart right over to me, and she she'd spent 3 hours this morning out it there, and I said, I just apologize. You know, we had our new computer system roll out, and they're doing everything they can do to get this thing moving. So, you know, it's just not acceptable for the people, and most importantly for our staff. It's just, no.
Should I go back towards our staff?
Yeah.
That's taking the brunt of the madness.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Van Beek.
I think an important distinction to recognize is that this is not the county's program. This is not a software built by Canyon County. This is a state rollout software that was built by the state of Idaho that we are having to use. Voluntold, I think, is the word. Yes.
This might be a good point. We would have never rolled out the program from the functionality level. But
lots of bugs in the system yet to be worked out.
Yeah.
So, you've seen this before. This is the handout that we gave you early on. See the admin fee line is where we're going to change the $4 line, or $4 to be 180,000 transactions. That's $4. We're going to change that to 6. 30-day temporaries will go from $9 to $11. The duplicates will go from $4 to $6. That will generate an additional $365,000, which we will spend more than that. Spend roughly $400,000 on employees in the second facility, building out that facility. The county's side of the computers and stuff.
Is that the end of your presentation?
At one more, it just shows how much it's going to cost, what we're going to spend per month. We're doing this so we can get more people down the road also to catch up and keep up. It's just taking twice as long to do it.
And the real purpose is, the public deserves better service. And I think that will relieve the pressure on the Caldwell department and spread it out to a population base that is more readily serviced in the new location. And then I think it will give some relief to the employees also. I think it's a win for the whole county.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Van Beek.
It's my understanding that the assessor's office invested quite a bit of time in looking for a second location last year. And there was some understanding that there was funding available when in fact there wasn't. So this is not a new idea to have a second location. And I think that if we were able to do a survey, most citizens in Canyon County would support a second location. And because of the population growth in the county and the space constraints here at the courthouse campus, it deserves a look to expand, in the locations that we're investigating. Are we ready for more comments?
Public.
Okay.
So at this time, I would like to allow for public testimony. Stephen Shake. I would love to hear your testimony in favor and in opposition.
Well, I had a dilemma coming in the room. I was overjoyed to see $50 raise. I'm one of those guys that if I can see my money spent, I'd like to be able to vote for. So I wrote down I'm for and against both. Not that I want to speak twice.
Could you clarify, just for the record, your name and address for the record?
My name is Stephen K. Shake, like in Rattle and Roll, S-H-A-K-E. I live at 1905 Howard Avenue in Caldwell. I think that I got all three of you a copy of this, and we can all read, but there's a couple of points here that are going to make this, what's been spoken here, is nice to follow the introduction like that. What I've got here, because we're all leaning in the right direction, I think, here. This is my opinion and 8 other signatures I have that are just, that are all residents of the county. I thought I could stand in the cold by the DMV on the exit and get a couple hundred, but I thought for the time and it being cold and I'm handicapped, I didn't want to have to sit in the car, so I just got some neighbors here. But it basically says, we the undersigned legal residents of taxpayers of Canyon County, Idaho, enter the following testimony for public record on February 9, 2020 at a public hearing of the Board of Canyon County Commissioners. On the subject of the proposed $2 increase in the DMV administration fee to support the leasing of a second motor vehicle facility and additional staff in Nampa, Idaho, we respectfully disagree that the proposed increase of $2 will not, I think that might be an error. Anyways, the intent there is that it won't raise sufficient funds to lease a DMV facility, second one, and an adequate staff to meet the present and future needs of a growing Canyon County population. Canyon County Assessor indicates that additional funds raised by the $2 increase will fund the leasing of a second facility of approximately 600 square feet and only provide the funds for 5 employees, actually 4, and then 1 supervisor, service vehicle owners. In our opinion, from firsthand experience, the second DMV facility is located at Nampa in the most populous part of Canyon County, needs to be a larger lease facility and have more employees to serve the present and future needs of the county residents. For the following facts and reasons, we believe that more funding is needed to meet the DMV needs. Population of Canyon County has more than doubled in the last 20 years from 113,000 in 2000 to 230,000 at present. The county DMV facility and number of employees has not increased proportionally over those last 20 years. This shortage of facilities and employees, along with recent well-known problems at the ITD computer programming situation, have created longer registration times and longer wait times. And then, well, I guess I did. Problems in number 4 have been complicated even more by the last year's presence of the COVID pandemic, forcing people of all ages to be outside and all types of weather and forming the longer lines. For these reasons and others, we respectfully propose implementing an administration fee increase of $4 per year per vehicle registered or re-registered. The lease of a second facility in Napa that would be closer to or about 9,000 square feet instead of, I have a proposal we figured out with 6,000 square feet. But then I asked Brian what the size of the present one is, and he said that's almost 14,000 square feet there. So I just didn't feel the 6,000 feet, square feet. And especially, I'm sure you guys don't have to come up with the money to move it to a larger facility in a couple of years. So this kind of lends to something around 9,000 to 10,000 square feet. To deter providing space growth and deter moving expense to the DMV for a larger facility in the future. The funds would employ 13 new positions, 11 and 2, and there's also a proposal that we have there. The 11 or the 13 new positions was with 6,000 square foot, and I think when we went to 9,000, that went down to 12, then 10 and 2 supervisors, which would, basically doubles the situation as for service to patrons that would come with a $2 $2 increase. Obviously, shorter lines of wait times at both both the DMV facilities as would be relieved as soon as the second site was open. And just a comparison on the price, it's however we want to look at it. I always like to deal with smallest numbers possible. Right now, a person is paying 33 cents a month to register. I have relatives that live in Oregon and Washington. When I told them what I paid for my vehicles a year to register, they didn't believe it at all, So doubling this would make the person pay 67 cents a month for each vehicle they own and register in the county. Or, like I said at the very bottom there, maybe cost 2 gallons of gas. Well, I don't know, that's probably gone up a bit. I'll get 2 gallons.
Thank you, Mr. Shake. Are there any questions for Mr. Shake?
Mr. Shake, can you put on record what your background is and your interest? Is it just good government, or tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a retired school teacher. I spent 31 years in Canyon County, working for the Valley View and Caldwell School District. I was born and raised in Idaho, grew up in Fayette County. A lifelong Republican family.
So you're well versed with the dynamics and the politics in Canyon County?
Yeah. Okay. I'm just one of those people, like I said, that I do believe that, especially with this situation, that people can see where your intelligence is spending their money. They don't mind investing where we're going from a big $4 to $8 a year for each vehicle.
Thank you for your testimony.
So in front of us today, though, is specifically a $2 increase. Correct? Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, I do. Mr. Beach, you are welcome to approach the podium. You do have 3 minutes. We do ask that you have non-repetitive testimony if you agree with what Mr. Shake said. Something as simple as I agree with the previous testimony is excellent.
Well, I agree with the previous gentleman. I'm one of the people that are stuck in the lines. We're a tow company. My wife and I have a tow company here in the Valley. We go to the DMV probably at least 3 to 4 times a month. So we've been in all the lines. We've been in the snow outside. We've been in the rain. We've been doing the DMV thing for 5 years, and honestly, there were some patches that was good, but they had other problems back in with the computer programs or something. That was a hold-up back then. But for now, I see that you're going with a $2. We need. I'm under the impression that we haven't. Have we drawn up plans for this new building yet?
We have not.
We are behind the 8 ball on this. We need to have a new building put up. We need 10 more employees. As far as the $2, I mean, stepping it up $2 every 6 months might be okay, but I think we're starting too low. We got a huge problem, and as the previous gentleman indicated, the valley growth here has exploded. People are waiting in cars. As was said, for hours. We can't even get our work done. I mean, we're supposed to be retitling cars. We get stuck with all these cars from doing police services, and we're unable to get our cars processed. So they're sitting in our lot's going up. I'd also like to point out that having people sitting in their cars or standing in a line, this is an economic negative for the community also. They could be out doing something productive. They're probably not at work where they want to be. And so I'm all for the additional funding, whatever's needed to get the building built, get the people hired, and solve the problem. So it seems like everybody's on board with the whole thing. I hope it's just a question of funding and that we can solve that and pull the trigger on the building. So that's about all I have to say. Although I was going to jump up and down for a bit. But
just didn't find the energy for that today.
I think maybe some of you aren't. I'm just gonna sit down there. So, anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Van Beek?
in the interest of time, I would like to put, I guess, what my thoughts are on this. I happen to agree with the testimony that's been provided. I also agree that there is a need for the assessor's office to expand its operations. And under Title 31, Chapter 8, there are several provisions in Idaho Code for equipping elected officers to discharge their duties, whether it's fees or whatever that looks like. It's pretty well laid out in county code. And so I would like to do two things. Number one, I would like to have the board offer up discussion on making sure that this item is included and prioritized in the upcoming fiscal year 2022 budget. So that would be my first thing, that we identify and secure a location with plans to move ahead as presented. We have several things on the docket that the board is evaluating and negotiating that need to be ferreted out better. But then the other half of that is that there's a point that's well raised by Mr. Beach, because we don't have numbers, and I've asked for some of that information on potential properties on square foot. We are really shooting in the dark when looking at what the actual cost will be, and even with the information presented by the assessor, the bottom line is still red. It does not make sense to me as a commissioner to approve a fee that is not going to cover the actual cost of services. So two things: move ahead and authorize an allocation in the budget that's within the board's purview, and then to gather additional information on site-specific and enter negotiations to try and drill down and identify the costs and present what that would be, whether it's $2, $4. I'm hearing there's tolerance in surrounding states for even. We want to make sure that we cover the cost. That looks like good business. It looks like that we know what we're doing with a $100 million budget. This is not property tax. This is a fee to identify and address the permits and registration in Canyon County. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Commissioner Van Beek. Very quickly, I'd like to also, we did receive an email today from a Hubert Osborne at 11:41, addressed to each of us. Please accept this written endorsement of the proposed DMV administrative fee increase. I have talked to Mr. Sender and believe his request is justified. Plans to put an auxiliary office in Nampa also meets with my approval. Citizens deserve better than a several-hour-long wait outside in all kinds of weather. Fee increases are never popular, but neither is waiting hours to be served. Our time is valuable too. Please vote yes. So I think that thing for me is just ensuring that that this fee covers the cost of services and doesn't exceed that. Assessor Sender, do you believe that what has been provided adequately shows that this fee covers only expenses?
Madam Chair, I do one that I presented and one that Mr. Shake has also presented. Yeah, one Mr. Shake has presented down to, I believe, $5,000 on the negative. Yeah. We're not going to get any closer than that. That's one. That's two computers away from being breaking. That's
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Van Beek?
And the proposal, as you pointed out, Madam Chair, before the board today is a $2 increase. Mr. Shake's proposal is a $4 increase, if I understood you correctly. And is that an official exhibit for the board to consider? Do we have two proposals?
In that line, may I ask a question of the prosecuting attorney's office? If we were to change the fee from $2 to $4, would it behoove us to notice again?
Madam Chair, Commissioners,
Okay, perfect. So I think that might give us a little bit of time to acquire some additional information for the record. And
okay. Sorry.
Some additional time and, for us to be able to consider the $4 increase. Commissioner White?
I don't want to, I would like more information, more figures, and more of that information, because there is quite a possibility, as Mr. Shakes alluded to, that even $4 isn't going to, once we get it all, because you're going to have to go, the different things you're going to, doubling that, we have to look at it anyway, so why not figure out some options, Brian? Because it may be, instead of, do you have to do the same one on each one of those? Is that statute, like 2, 2, and 2, or 4, 4, and 4? It has to all be the same? Or what if you do,
As far as?
So we increase the admin people. Does the duplicates also increase?
But yeah, because it's the admin fee, which is
because that's the combined admin fee. Okay, so it might, for how we can apply this money to the need, to the, what we need to accomplish for the citizens, we need to look at that. And as to the other, what Commissioner Van Beek asked us to consider today too, would you word it again? You want us to commit to going ahead and, yes, we're going to put this on the record, we're going to move forward. I'm not willing to do that today. I absolutely 100% believe there's a desperate need in that, but I can't make a decision like that without seeing the budget in front of me, without seeing the needs, without hearing from all the departments and everything, and we put it all together. And then that's when I can prioritize, and this is what I would like to see in everything. I want all the information I'm entitled to as a commissioner before I say on the record, this is a slam dunk. What I am saying on the record, I think this is, if we're going to do urgent and important and prioritize things, this is one of our urgent needs for sure.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Van Beek?
Said differently, I think that's the intent of what my comments were leading to. I understand that in the budget process, the clerk and the controller put together a requested budget, but we do have the ability as commissioners to prioritize what we believe citizens are calling for. And those have been, before I was commissioner, capital improvements plan, a capital improvements fund, a second location for DMB, the ability to expand county services as our county grows. That's what I'm saying, and seeing both of those from the assessor side. I do think it was unfortunate that opportunity to investigate that option last year, which I think was counterintuitive to what our citizens wanted. I'm still going to stand in support of looking for that option and making that a priority for the board. That's not committing. That's say this will be in that urgent category of identified needs.
And part of it is too, before we can really negotiate in good faith with the landlord, we needed to have a certain amount of commitment that would be properly funded. And part of it, we're making the best estimate at the rental rate, but I mean, there's a few other options. If landlord will allow our maintenance crew or licensed contractors to do some of the TIs in the facility, that will change the rental rate, versus if the landlord doesn't, and then our rents will change based upon his investment in the TI. So partly what we need to do is see what if the public deemed it was worthwhile to investigate and do so, and then whether the commissioners would allow us to negotiate good faith.
I'll follow up on that. Along that same line, it depends on if we need plenty of people.
Yeah.
So if we're not committing to more than $2, or the option to advertise for more than $2, shouldn't waste our time looking for anything larger than 6,000 square feet.
Yeah, so Assessor Sender, At the $2 fee right now, that doesn't include, costs to expand. That would just cover costs to, handle the volume of work that is needed now.
That covers the cost of leasing a 6,000 square foot facility.
Okay?
And then, I have a spreadsheet from IT Director Rast, and I also have a spreadsheet from Paul Navarro. But he thinks that he can build out 10 stations for about $5,000 a year if he does it. So, but it depends on what we're looking at doing as how much that fee is going to cost.
So these numbers are actual costs.
These are their take-up estimates that they think it's going to cost. Greg's was server, cameras.
Chair.
Commissioner Van Beek?
While you're looking for that, Brian, I have the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet that our facilities director prepared, and I have a 6,000 square foot estimate with workstations, break rooms, parking, restrooms, lobby, waiting areas, that kind of thing. But what I don't have is the market price for leasing space. So I'm missing some numbers.
That's what you.
Well, I think it would depend too, if we use existing space, which is a possibility, and if we're able to customize that space, remodel costs were estimated, I asked that question yesterday, at $40 to $50 a square foot. New construction costs were estimated at $220 a square foot. So if we can find, and I understand that time is of the essence because that kind of space is in demand in Kenyon County, so your request to negotiate with a commitment in the budget that this is going to be a priority for the board that approves funding to meet the needs of citizens and what they're asking for.
Okay, so how about I go this route? I need people today.
Yeah.
Are we willing to spend money out of the property tax budget to fund additional people today? Okay.
That was my point. That's the $2 gets us, it covers our costs to hire the employees that we need.
Okay.
Without using property tax dollars. 'Cause I do not believe we should be using property tax dollars for people to go and apply for these permits. And that seems like a reasonable fee to cover the cost of having appropriate staff to fulfill the duties that we're mandated to follow.
Madam Chair.
And then
So I'm going to let you, but my question is, you have room for 4 people today, those were hired with the fee increase, and then you would be willing to look at an additional increase? Is that what you're saying?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Van Beek, if you gave me 10 people today, I'd find a spot.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get stuff done. We'd figure out a way to do it. We need help. However we're going to pay for it, we need help.
And then as we determine costs moving forward, there's nothing stopping us from doing another fee increase. No one likes
We're in
that.
budget cycle, we do the increase.
Yeah.
Okay, so Madam Chair, I appreciate the clarification. The ask today is to fill the immediate need for the 4 staff that this $2 will cover, and then there's potentially an additional ask for a second location, which we don't really have enough data on. I agree with Commissioner White that there's more information needed to evaluate that ask. But to be clear, a $2 fee increase that's approved by the board today does not increase property taxes, and it will cover the staff that you need to handle a larger volume, and you have the space for them to do the work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what Mr. White. Okay. I need people, however we get the money, I need people.
Okay, and
Okay, but, oh, I'm sorry. Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
White.
I don't believe that, I mean, we can just throw, money at, but I don't think that 4 even the way it is, when you have what did we say, 133 people sitting in cars? I don't think we're going to have to do it again, so why not do it right once? You need easily, I don't want to throw numbers out there, but I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to do, because 4 people, it's, okay, Kimber, you're the supervisor.
I need more.
You need more, yes.
But I'm desperate to get whatever I can get
So
now.
So let's just,
I already delayed my appointment at 3:45. I have to be there by 4.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Van Beek?
I also have a 4 o'clock appointment, and I'm not sure that the board is going to reach consensus under a time constraint. Is there an ability to continue this hearing?
Yes. Monica? You help us?
Yes,
And
it might be appropriate to continue this hearing to the action. I want to
Madam Chair, I appreciate that suggestion, but if we continue the hearing and there were more people because we have the Idaho Press Tribune online, if this generates interest and people wanted to comment on the process, we would have to either reopen public testimony, or if we don't close public testimony, it would remain open for comment.
I'm okay with leaving public testimony open.
I am too.
Okay, let's just continue the hearing. Are you looking to do that tomorrow or another, tomorrow's stacked, Thursday's stacked. What about Friday morning? If I just choose to not leave on my trip early, maybe 9:30? We have a 9 o'clock? Can you guys do 9:30?
One of us will.
Madam Chair.
I'm supposed to be in Seattle, but for you, I will leave late.
And Madam Chair, I know you have a drive with weather. My suggestion would be to see if we can meet at 8 o'clock when the business convenes, so that's up to you, but no. Okay, that's early bird hour is not happening.
Oh, it's happening, just at a different appointment.
Okay, oh, I see, okay. Then is that what you'd like to do?
9:30 works for me.
okay.
And what date is that? Yeah.
Okay.
Monica, what's the date on that?
That is Friday the 12th. Now, with that said, we're going to have the assessor here at 9 o'clock. And that item shouldn't take 30 minutes. It's one.
So schedule them both at the same time, and then we can roll into it.
Okay, 9 o'clock on Friday, February 12th.
Madam Chair.
That was really quick. Is that correct? You anticipate the 9 o'clock hearing being short?
We'll make it short.
Okay. Commissioner Van Beek?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we continue this meeting, leaving public testimony open until Friday, February 12th at 9:30.
second.
There's a motion and a second to continue this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. And I will see you on Friday at 9 a.m. I'm sorry I have